to be the easiest crochet tutorial you've ever seen. At least I hope it is. This tutorial is for people who have never crocheted before, or maybe you've tried to crochet and it just hasn't quite worked out. This tutorial is for you. We are going to start with the absolute basics, and by the end of this video, I promise you, you are going to know how to single crochet. If you're new here, I'm Hollyana. I'm super excited that you're joining us in the Sunflower family. Let's learn how to crochet. In this tutorial, you're going to learn how to tie a slip knot, how to hold your yarn, how to hold your crochet hook, how to create a chain, which is going to be starting most of our projects, how to single crochet, and how to finish off your project. Let's get started. If you're wondering what kind of yarn and crochet hook you should buy as a beginner crocheter, I have a whole video that's basically just a shopping list for beginner crocheters. I will link it in this video. For this video, we're using Bernat Pop from Yarnspirations. The color is Hot Chocolate. When you buy a new skein of yarn and you want to know what size crochet hook you need, all you have to do is look at the back and find where you see a little picture of a crochet hook. This shows us that we need a 5mm crochet hook. If you're knitting, same thing, right there. It would be a 5mm knitting needle. One of my favorite moments of crocheting is whenever you get to rip this off of the skein. I don't know, it's just super satisfying. Let's talk about how to create a slip knot. Not all, but most of your projects are going to start with a slip knot. Put the tail of the yarn in your right hand. With your left hand, take the yarn and twist it to look like a little figure 8. Make a little loop. The tail of the yarn is going to be in the back, and the yarn that's still attached to your skein is in the front. Put your pinchers through the little loop. Put your pointer and your thumb through the loop. Reach back and grab the yarn that's still attached to the skein and then pull it through. This creates a slip knot, which can get smaller or can get bigger. Let's do that one more time. Yarn in your right hand. With your left hand, twist the yarn, go through the loop, grab the yarn that's still attached to the skein, and pull it tight. This loop is what your crochet hook is going to go through. But before we do that, let me show you how to hold your yarn and how to hold your crochet hook. I personally do not think that there's a right or wrong way to hold your yarn and to hold your crochet hook. I'm just going to show you how I hold mine. This is how my grandma taught me to hold my yarn when she taught me how to crochet about 20 years ago. You're going to go around your pinky, under your middle 2 fingers, over your pointer, and then you pinch the project. So let's do that again. Around the pinky, under your middle 2, over your pointer, and pinch. One more time, slowly and up close. Around the pinky, under your middle 2, over your pointer, and pinch. Your pointer finger is going to be what helps you keep the tension in your yarn. Now that we have our slip knot, and we know how we're going to be holding our yarn, let's talk about the crochet hook. There's a lot of different ways that you can hold your crochet hook. These are the 2 different ways that I hold mine. The less common way that I hold my crochet hook is like a pencil. This is something I've been doing more recently as a suggestion from my comment section. A lot of people have been telling me they hold their crochet hook like a pencil when their hand starts to hurt. And I've noticed that it does make it easier sometimes, but it's not my most preferred way of holding my hook. The way I usually hold my hook is more like a knife, more like we're gonna cut a steak dinner. So it's held very lightly in my hands like this. And then I usually have my pointer finger here. Sometimes it's down here, but a lot of times it's here as a way to kind of direct my hook in and out of my project. So once again, my 2 favorite ways of holding your hook are either like you are writing a note or like you are cutting a steak. Now it's time to crochet. Not all, but most of your crochet projects are going to start with what is called a chain. Chaining looks very simple, but when you're starting out, I think that this can actually be one of the hardest things to do. To create our chain, I'm going to be having my crochet hook pointing towards me, pointing down and towards me. So if you're going out here, it's going to be a little bit harder. If you're going up here, it's going to be a little bit harder. Face it towards you. Wrap it around the yarn and pull it through the loop. Once again, go around the yarn and through the loop. This is called a yarn over whenever you are grabbing the yarn. So yarn over and through the loop. This is creating your chain. You can see how it looks like a chain, which makes sense that this is called creating a chain. The reason I think chaining is so difficult is because it's hard to keep your tension the same in every single loop. You can look at my chain now and see that most of these look like they're pretty much the exact same size. But when you're starting out, it is super easy to create some really tight chains like this, and then some really loose chains like this, and then it might go back to some really tight chains. And this is why your project is going to look like it has a bunch of different sizes. Sometimes it may get bigger, it might get smaller. This all has to do with our tension. So if your tension is too tight, if it's really, really tight, you're creating these teeny tiny stitches. The biggest problem with this is we have to turn around and crochet back into all of these holes. If they're all too small, you're not going to be able to crochet into them to continue your project. But at the same time, if you make your chain really, really loose like this, your project is not going to have very clean edges and it's just gonna look a little bit wobbly along the side. Are you starting to see why I personally think chaining is a really, really hard part of crocheting, especially when you're starting out? This is why I really love holding my yarn the way that I do, around the pinky, under the middle two, over the pointer, and pinch. I think that this allows you to keep tension in your yarn and to keep it to whatever level of tension you need. Now that we know how to chain, let's talk about how to single crochet. For this tutorial, since I'm just teaching you how to crochet, it doesn't really matter how many chains I'm using. I'm going to use 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you're creating your crochet project, you will chain as long as you want your project to be. So if you wanted to make a scarf and make it really long, you could do hundreds of chains and then turn around to make your second row, your third row, your fourth row. If you wanted to make something like a coaster, you might make it just a little bit longer than this. You might make it 15 chains and then go back and forth to complete your project. For this little swatch, we're just chaining 10. So when you're crocheting, just chain as long as you would like the project to be. Now let's start the part of actually crocheting. In this video, I am just teaching you how to single crochet, but make sure to hit all those buttons, and I am going to be doing more videos of teaching you how to double crochet, half double crochet, and more. Do you see how the chain creates a bunch of V's? For the second row, you're going to be taking the tip of your crochet hook and pushing it through this top loop. Once it's through the top loop, you're going to yarn over or grab your yarn, pull it through the loop. Now you should have 2 pieces of yarn on your hook. 1, 2. Once again, yarn over, grab the yarn and pull it through both of those loops of yarn. Let's do that again. Go through that top loop, grab the yarn, pull it through. We have 1, 2, yarn over again and pull it through. Let's take a look super, super close. Take that point of your hook, go through the top loop, grab the yarn, pull it through. We have 1, 2 on our hook, grab it again, pull it through. Continue until you get to the end of your row. Now we're at the end of the second row. This is arguably the most important thing that I will teach you today. I get so many comments in my comment section from people asking me, why does their project change shapes as they go? Why does their project slowly turn into a triangle? I think the most common reason that projects do this while crocheting is because people forget to chain at the end of each row. At the end of each row, you're going to chain 1 before you flip your project. Let's do that again, but up close. So we just finished the second row of our project. Before doing our third row, we are going to yarn over and pull it through. So chain 1 and then flip the project. We are always going to be crocheting from right to left. So we chained 1 and then we flipped the project. Now obviously your project is starting to look a little bit different and you might be wondering, where does the hook go? It looks different than when we just had the chain. Well, if you take it and you flip it, you'll see that you still have those little V's that it looked like you had when you had a chain. But now we're not going to just go into the back one like we did whenever we were doing our second row. Now we're going to go underneath both of these little loops. Go right here, go underneath both loops, yarn over, pull it through. We have 1, 2 pieces of yarn on our hook, yarn over, and pull it through. So if we look at it from the top, we can see the little V. We're going to go underneath both of those loops, yarn over, pull it through. We have 1, 2 on our crochet hook, yarn over and pull it through. Let's do it from looking at the side of the project, not the top of the project. From the side of the project, we can see the little holes really close to the top of the project. We are going to go straight through the hole, yarn over, pull it through. We have 2 pieces of yarn on our crochet hook, yarn over, pull it through. Continue this till the end. That completes our 3rd row. At the end of this row and every other row, you know what we have to do. We have to chain 1 before we flip our project. Continue single crocheting your project until your project is as wide as you would like it to be. We're at the end of the next row. Chain 1, flip the project. Once again to single crochet, we go through the hole that is underneath of these 2 loops, yarn over, pull it through. We have 1, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull it through. That's it. Now you know how to single crochet. The only thing I have left to teach you in this tutorial is how to end the project. So grab your scissors, cut the yarn that's attached to your skein, and give yourself some room. Make sure you're leaving a little bit of a tail. As you can see, I have left my crochet hook on my project. Now to finish off the project, all we're going to be doing is yarn over 1 more time with this tail, pull it through that last loop and pull it all the way through. Pull that tight and it creates a knot that secures your project. If this were a part of a bigger project, you would most likely either use these tails to attach this to the bigger part of the project, or you would weave the tails into the project and cut off the excess. And that's it. That is how you single crochet. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope that you learned a lot. I hope you are sitting here right now watching this video, crocheting your first project. If you have any questions at all, my comments are always open and I'm always responding. And if this video taught you how to crochet, but you don't really know what to buy for your first crochet project, I made this video that is basically just a shopping list for beginning crocheters. I'm going to be putting out so many more tutorials like this, so let me know in the comments what you want to learn how to crochet next. If you had fun here, don't forget to hit all the buttons, and I'll see you next time.